Think you know what a bad day looks like? Try being Linda Murphy on the morning Earth got invaded by aliens. But let's back up a bit. About 6 hours before the world went sideways, and a suburban chemistry teacher became humanity's unlikely savior. "Mom, the toast is burning again." Tommy Murphy's voice carried up the stairs with the same piercing quality that had made him the star of the school's drama club. "And I can't find my permission slip for the field trip." Linda Murphy, master of multitasking and queen of the last-minute scramble, was currently fighting a losing battle with her hair tie while simultaneously grading papers and trying to put on her left shoe. The right one had gone missing somewhere between midnight and dawn, probably during her stress-cleaning spree. "Check the kitchen drawer," she shouted back, knowing full well the permission slip was safely tucked into her gradebook, signed at 3 a.m. during her third cup of coffee. "And unplug the toaster." The smell of burning toast intensified, followed by the distinct sound of a smoke detector joining the morning chaos. Linda closed her eyes and counted to 10, a technique her therapist had recommended. She made it to 3 before something crashed downstairs. "I'm okay," Tommy's voice carried up, "but we might need a new toaster, and possibly a new kitchen counter." Linda finally won the battle with her hair tie, though at the cost of what felt like half her scalp. She grabbed her gradebook, her emergency lab coat, because every chemistry teacher needs one, and her world's okayest mum mug that Tommy had given her last Christmas. The mug was half full of yesterday's coffee, but caffeine doesn't expire, right? As she descended the stairs, the scene that greeted her was exactly what she'd expected, which somehow made it worse. The toaster lay in pieces across the counter, surrounded by what appeared to be every kitchen utensil they owned. Tommy, her 16-year-old son, an aspiring chaos theorist, stood in the middle of it all with a butter knife in one hand and a fire extinguisher in the other. "I can explain," he started, which in Linda's experience were always the 3 most dangerous words in the English language. "Save it for your college application essay," Linda replied, navigating through the debris field to rescue what remained of breakfast. "Where's your brother?" "Danny's still in the bathroom. He says he's not coming out until his hair goes back to normal." Linda checked her watch. "It's been green for 3 days. He's going to have to accept that this is his new normal until it grows out." "I told him it looks cool," Tommy offered, helpfully sweeping charred breadcrumbs under the refrigerator. "Very punk rock." "It looks like radioactive cotton candy," Linda muttered, then raised her voice. "Danny, 5 minutes or you're walking to school." A muffled groan emanated from behind the bathroom door, followed by what sounded like someone hitting their head against the wall, repeatedly. Linda took a swig of her day-old coffee and grimaced. This was fine. Everything was fine. She just had to get through today's parent-teacher conferences, grade 4 sets of lab reports, figure out why the chemistry lab's Bunsen burners kept making that weird whistling sound, and somehow find time to grocery shop, because the kitchen currently contained half a jar of pickles and something suspicious growing in the back of the fridge. That's when she saw it through the kitchen window, a flash of bright purple in the sky, followed by what looked like a shower of metallic confetti. For a moment, she thought the drama club had finally gone too far with their morning announcements. "Hey, Mom," Tommy said slowly, pressing his face against the window. "Is the sky supposed to be that color?" "Not until at least second period," Linda replied automatically, then froze as she processed what she was seeing. The purple light was spreading, forming patterns that definitely weren't part of any weather system she'd ever taught about in her brief stint covering for the earth science teacher. Danny chose that moment to emerge from the bathroom, his green hair now hidden under what appeared to be 3 beanies stacked on top of each other. "If this is some kind of chemical reaction gone wrong, I'm telling Principal Matthews it was your fault this time." Linda was about to respond when every electronic device in the house suddenly started blaring the same message. "Attention Earth residents, this is not a drill. Please stand by for important information regarding your planet's immediate future." Linda looked at her coffee mug, then at the chaos in her kitchen, then back at the purple sky outside. She had a feeling she was going to need something stronger than day-old coffee to deal with whatever came next. "Well?" she said, reaching for her emergency chocolate stash hidden behind the cereal boxes. At least I won't have to grade those lab reports today. She had no way of knowing that in about 6 hours she'd be facing down an alien invasion armed with nothing but a fire extinguisher, a thorough knowledge of the periodic table, and 16 years of experience dealing with teenagers. But first she had to survive breakfast. "Mrs. Murphy, does your son Daniel always spend 45 minutes in the bathroom every morning?" Linda stared at the 7-foot-tall purple alien currently occupying her least favourite parent's usual seat in the chemistry classroom. His name was apparently Commander Xylophone. "Just Xy, please, it's more casual." And he'd interrupted her third parent-teacher conference of the day by materializing through the ceiling. "Danny's hair situation is not typically part of these discussions," Linda replied, maintaining her professional parent-teacher conference voice. 15 years of dealing with helicopter parents had prepared her for keeping her cool in almost any situation. Almost. "Fascinating," Xy said, making notes on what appeared to be a floating tablet. "And do all Earth mothers allow their offspring to destroy kitchen appliances before the morning meal?" Linda's eye twitched. "I'm sorry, are you here to discuss Tommy's grade in chemistry, or are you conducting a survey on my parenting style?" "Oh, much more than that." Xy waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. "We're here to discuss the complete subjugation of your species. But first, I must understand how a single female guardian manages to maintain authority over juvenile humans while simultaneously teaching the basics of molecular science. Our research suggests this should be impossible." From the hallway came the sound of chaos, screaming, running, and what might have been Mr. Rodriguez, the janitor, shouting something about not getting paid enough for this alien nonsense. Linda took a deep breath and reached for her coffee mug, only to find it empty. Perfect. "Look," she said, pulling out her teacher voice, the one that could silence a room of 30 teenagers mid-explosion. "I have 12 more conferences scheduled today, lab reports to grade, and the coffee maker in the teacher's lounge is broken again. Can we reschedule the whole planetary conquest thing for next week? I'm free after soccer practice on Thursday." Xy's antenna twitched in what Linda assumed was either amusement or indigestion. "You misunderstand your position, Earth female. We have already begun our takeover of this primitive educational facility. Our research indicates that controlling the youth is key to controlling the species." Linda couldn't help it. She laughed. "You chose to start your invasion at a high school during parent-teacher conferences?" She shook her head. "Oh, honey, you really didn't think this through, did you?" "I fail to see the humor in your situation," Xy said stiffly. "We have superior technology, advanced intelligence, and an entire armada at our disposal." "And I have 150 teenagers hopped up on energy drinks and pre-exam anxiety," Linda countered. "Plus it's mystery meat day in the cafeteria. Trust me, you don't want this fight." That's when Mr. Rodriguez burst through the door, wielding his mop like a quarterstaff. "Mrs. M, we got a situation in the cafeteria. The aliens tried to confiscate the students' phones, and now there's some kind of resistance movement organizing on TikTok. Also, your boy Tommy's leading it." Linda pinched the bridge of her nose. "Of course he is." "This is irrelevant," Xy declared, standing to his full height, which resulted in his head going straight through the ceiling tiles. "Your primitive communication devices are no match for—" He was cut off by the sound of what could only be described as a battle cry, followed by the synchronized notification pings of 100 phones going off at once. Through the classroom windows, Linda could see students moving with the kind of coordinated purpose she'd only ever witnessed during pizza day. "Should I tell them you're a little busy with the whole alien invasion thing?" Mr. Rodriguez asked, casually leaning on his mop. Something about his stance seemed oddly professional, almost military. "No need," Linda said, standing up and straightening her lab coat. "Commander Xi and I were just finishing up. He was about to learn why you should never underestimate a public school teacher during conference week." "This is absurd," Xy sputtered, all 4 hands gesturing wildly. "You are just a teacher." Linda smiled the same smile she used when students claimed their dogs ate their homework. Just a teacher. Oh, sweetie, I teach chemistry to sleep-deprived teenagers at 7:30 in the morning. I've prevented 3 lab explosions this week alone, mediated 27 teenage dramas, and still managed to get Tommy to turn in his homework on time. I'm not just a teacher, I'm a miracle worker." Mr. Rodriguez snorted. They really didn't do their homework on this invasion, did they? "Clearly not," Linda agreed, then turned back to Sci. "Now we can do this the easy way. Or we can do this the way my third period class handles pop quizzes. Your choice." From somewhere in the building came the sound of the school band starting to play what sounded suspiciously like the final countdown. Linda had a feeling Tommy had something to do with that too. X's antenna drooped slightly. "Perhaps we should discuss terms?" "Oh, now you want to have a proper conference?" Linda pulled out her grade book. "Well, lucky for you, I had a cancellation in my 2:30 slot. Shall we discuss your performance?" The alien commander looked like he was starting to realize he might have made a tactical error. Meanwhile, through the window, Linda could see students setting up what appeared to be an elaborate defense system involving cafeteria trays, rubber bands, and something that looked suspiciously like the contents of her supply closet. It was going to be a long afternoon, but then again, parent-teacher conferences always were. The thing about teenagers Linda had learned over years of teaching was that they were basically chaos incarnate. Usually this worked against her. Today it was Earth's secret weapon. "What do you mean they've taken over the school's social media?" Z demanded, his antenna crackling with what Linda recognized as the alien equivalent of a stress headache. They'd relocated to the cafeteria, which had become an impromptu command center for both sides of the invasion. "Well," Linda said, checking her phone, "according to Tommy's latest TikTok, your species has been officially dubbed the Purple People Yeeters. It's trending." She squinted at the screen. "Oh, and someone's remixed your invasion announcement with a bass drop. That's got 3 million views already. This is not how planetary subjugation is supposed to work." Ixie's forehands were typing frantically on multiple floating screens, each displaying what appeared to be increasingly concerning data. "Our psychological warfare tactics are being memed?" Mr. Rodriguez, who had been suspiciously quiet while mopping the same spot for the past 20 minutes, finally spoke up. "You know, this reminds me of my days in Special Forces. Except back then we didn't have teenagers with smartphones, much harder to coordinate resistance movements, using just Morse code and carrier pigeons." Linda turned to stare at him. "I'm sorry, your days in what now?" "Oh, right," he grinned, spinning his mop like a bow staff. "Retired Master Sergeant Rodriguez, U.S. Special Forces. But I gotta say, these kids' tactical planning, superior to half the ops I ran in my day. Your boy Tommy's got a future in strategic command." "That would explain why you're so calm about all this," Linda said, then paused. "Wait, is that why you always know exactly when to show up with your mop during lab accidents?" "Ma'am, there's no such thing as coincidences in my line of work." He winked. "Also, your third period class is particularly explosion-prone. Someone's got to keep an eye on them." Their conversation was interrupted by Danny bursting through the cafeteria doors, his green hair now somehow glowing under the fluorescent lights. "Mom, the aliens tried to hack the school's Wi-Fi, but the AV Club rerouted it through something they're calling Project Chaos, and now all their ships are playing Rick Astley on repeat." "They're doing what now?" Linda asked, just as the distant sound of "Never Gonna Give You Up" began echoing from the purple ships hovering above the school. Yai's colour shifted from purple to something closer to mauve. "This is impossible. Our neural networks are the most advanced in the galaxy." "Yeah, but did your neural networks ever have to deal with a bunch of teenagers who've been coding since kindergarten?" Danny grinned. "The robotics club just reprogrammed the vending machines to launch sodas at any non-human life forms. It's pretty rad." "The robotics club," Linda repeated slowly. "The same robotics club that couldn't get their bot to move forward during last month's competition. Amazing what they can accomplish when properly motivated," Mr. Rodriguez observed. "Nothing like an alien invasion to focus the mind." Through the cafeteria windows, Linda could see more of Tommy's resistance movement taking shape. The drama club had donned their costume department's alien outfits, for authenticity in psychological warfare, mum, and was performing what appeared to be a satirical reenactment of the invasion. The debate team had set up a formal negotiation table and was currently filibustering a group of increasingly confused alien soldiers with arguments about the Geneva Convention's potential application to extraterrestrial conflicts. And in the middle of it all was Tommy, conducting this teenage symphony of chaos like a maestro. He'd somehow gotten hold of a lab coat, Linda suspected theft from the chemistry department storage, and was coordinating movements using a combination of hand signals, emoji-based coding, and what appeared to be interpretive dance. "Your offspring," Xi said slowly, watching the scene unfold. "They are not responding according to any of our behavioral models." Linda snorted. "Welcome to my world. Try getting them to follow a lesson plan sometime." "But our research indicated that human adolescents were easily controllable through authority and technology." "Let me guess," Linda said. "Your research was conducted by adults." Before she could respond, the cafeteria lights flickered and every screen in the room lit up with the same message. Phase 2 initiated. Operation Homework Revenge is a go. "Oh no," Linda muttered, recognizing the glint in Tommy's eye through the window. It was the same look he got right before attempting to convince her that his late assignments were actually performance art. "What is Operation Homework Revenge?" Xi demanded, all four hands reaching for what Linda assumed were weapons. Mr. Rodriguez chuckled, finally abandoning all pretense with his mop. "Well, Commander, I believe you're about to learn why Earth's teenagers are considered a force of nature by every adult who's ever tried to control them." As if on cue, the school band started playing what sounded like the Imperial March from Star Wars, but with a dubstep twist. The chess club had somehow converted their boards into tactical display screens. The art students were wielding paint-filled water balloons with disturbing precision. And was that the math club calculating trajectory angles for the tennis team's serve-based defense system? Linda reached for her emergency chocolate stash, hidden behind the coffee maker in the teacher's lounge. She had a feeling things were about to get interesting. "You know," she said to no one in particular, "I really should have seen this coming when they all turned in their homework on time yesterday." The thing about teaching, Linda had learned, was that every good lesson needed a practical demonstration. And sometimes that demonstration involved turning the school cafeteria into ground zero for humanity's last stand against alien invasion. "Status report," she called out, ducking behind an overturned lunch table as another wave of alien tech sparked and fizzled against their makeshift barricade. "The debate team has them tied up in philosophical arguments about free will versus determinism," Tommy shouted back from his command post, which was really just the salad bar with a bunch of tablets duct taped to it. "They're currently discussing whether invasion counts as cultural appropriation. Drama Club reports successful infiltration of their upper command," Danny added, his green hair now serving as a beacon for resistance forces. "They're performing an interpretive dance piece about the futility of war. The aliens are very confused but weirdly impressed. Mr. Rodriguez, or rather Master Sergeant Rodriguez, was coordinating defense positions using an elaborate system of hand signals and what appeared to be interpretive eyebrow movements. Chemistry Club is locked and loaded with the thing we're definitely not calling weapons because that would violate school policy." "They're science projects," Linda corrected automatically. "Very aggressive science projects." That's when Commander Shy's voice boomed through the cafeteria, accompanied by what he probably thought was intimidating background music, but sounded suspiciously like elevator jazz. "This ends now, Earth teacher. Surrender your educational facility or face the consequences." Linda rolled her eyes so hard she probably sprained something. "Seriously? We're doing the dramatic villain speech thing? In my cafeteria?" She stood up from behind the barricade, brushing off her lab coat. "Do you have any idea how long it took me to get these kids to stop with the dramatic monologues during lab reports? Your primitive resistance tactics cannot prevail against our superior technology," Zai declared, all four arms wielding what looked like very expensive laser pointers. Primitive? Linda raised an eyebrow. Okay, pop quiz time. Tommy, what happens when you combine the contents of the chemistry lab supply closet with the cafeteria's secret sauce? Tommy grinned. Technically speaking, a violation of like 12 different safety protocols, and practically speaking, the world's spiciest smoke bomb. Linda smiled her best "I'm not mad, I'm disappointed" smile at T. See, Commander, here's what you failed to understand. These kids, they've spent years learning how to cause chaos within the strict confines of school regulations. They're not just students, they're chaos artists working in bureaucracy's medium. The school board cannot protect you now. Z raised all four arms dramatically. No, Linda agreed, but the lunch ladies can. Now! On cue, the cafeteria erupted into coordinated chaos. The lunch ladies, led by Miss Gertrude, who had been serving mystery meat since before Linda was born, launched a barrage of today's special using repurposed potato cannons. The chess club's calculated trajectory paths proved devastatingly accurate. Chemistry club, initiate Operation Final Exam, Linda called out. Dozens of students in safety goggles emerged from behind the lunch counter, armed with what looked like ordinary household chemicals, but had been combined in ways that would make any safety inspector have an immediate nervous breakdown. You wouldn't dare. Xi's antenna twitched nervously. Your own safety protocols. Oh, honey. Linda patted her pocket full of carefully calculated chemical formulas. I've been dealing with laboratory safety violations for 15 years. You think I don't know exactly how far we can bend those rules? That's when the school band, which had positioned itself in the gymnasium bleachers, struck up what sounded like the final countdown, mixed with the school fight song and something from TikTok. The art club launched their final wave of glitter bombs, now enhanced with the chemistry club's special adhesive formula, just as the drama club's infiltration team hit their grand finale. What is happening? Izzy stumbled back as his forces were simultaneously assaulted by music, makeshift chemical warfare, and what appeared to be the entire theatre department performing a flash mob. That, Linda said calmly, reaching for a specific beaker she'd been saving for just this moment, is what we call a comprehensive demonstration of cross-disciplinary education. But our superior technology is currently being reprogrammed by the coding club to play nothing but Baby Shark, Tommy interrupted cheerfully. On loop. Forever. Xi looked around at his forces, some covered in glitter and mystery meat, others trapped in philosophical debates with the debate team, and a concerning number starting to bob their heads to the band's infectious rhythm. Perhaps, he said slowly, lowering his weapons, we should revisit those terms of withdrawal. Linda smiled. I thought you'd never ask, but first, she held up the beaker, which was glowing with an ominous purple light that matched the alien's skin tone perfectly. Pop quiz. What happens when you combine sodium bicarbonate with just a touch of... She leaned in and whispered the final ingredient. Izzy's antenna went completely straight. You wouldn't. Try me, I've got tenure. And that's when the real fireworks began. There are certain things they don't teach you in education courses. How to grade papers while eating dinner, sure. How to detect a phone hidden in a calculator, absolutely. But what to do after you've successfully repelled an alien invasion during parent-teacher conferences was notably absent from the curriculum. So, Linda said, sitting across from Commander Sci in her classroom exactly 1 week later, shall we discuss your performance evaluation? The alien commander, now sporting what appeared to be permanent glitter residue in his antenna, shifted uncomfortably in the too small desk chair. All four of his hands were folded neatly on the surface, right next to a paper marked with a bright red "See me after class." Is this really necessary? He asked, antenna drooping. District policy, Linda replied cheerfully. All interventions require proper documentation and a follow-up assessment. Through the window, the last of the alien ships was being repainted by the art club as part of their senior project. The drama club had somehow convinced the alien army to participate in their spring musical. Invasion the musical was already sold out for its entire run. In the parking lot, Mr. Rodriguez was teaching a group of former invasion forces about proper floor waxing techniques, his tactical headset now permanently incorporated into his janitorial outfit. Now then, Linda continued, pulling out her gradebook. Let's start with your invasion strategy. While creative, your execution showed a concerning lack of research into your target demographic. We had extensive studies on Earth's defensive capabilities. And did any of those studies mention what happens when you give teenagers with energy drink addictions and advanced STEM education a reason to skip their homework? Z's colour shifted to a slightly embarrassed lavender. That may have been an oversight. Speaking of oversight, Linda flipped through her notes. We need to discuss the proper procedures for booking school facilities. Principal Matthews is still waiting for your invasion permit applications in triplicate. But we were trying to conquer your planet, and you still have to fill out the paperwork. Linda smiled sweetly. Welcome to Earth bureaucracy. I hope you brought a number 2 pencil. The door burst open as Tommy rushed in, still wearing all 3 lab coats. Mom! The coding club just finished reprogramming the alien AI. It's now running a dating app for single parents. They're calling it Out of This World Romance. He paused. Also, Danny might have accidentally turned the cafeteria into a quantum physics experiment. Again. Linda pinched the bridge of her nose. Is anything actually quantum, or is he just using that word to sound scientific? Miss Gertrude says the mystery meat is now existing in multiple states simultaneously. So Tuesday then, Linda turned back to Zai. See what I mean about proper supervision protocols? Z's antenna twitched. Your offspring are remarkably resourceful. They're teenagers, Linda corrected. They're basically chaos incarnate with smartphones and too much free time. Speaking of which, she pulled out a stack of papers. Several of my students have submitted proposals for an intergalactic student exchange program. They want to... What? Oh yes, the debate team is particularly interested in comparing philosophical frameworks across galaxies, and the drama club has some very interesting ideas about zero-gravity theatre. Through the hallway came the sound of Mr. Rodriguez's voice. No, when you're mopping in anti-gravity, you have to account for fluid dynamics. Trust me, I learned this the hard way in Special Forces. So, Linda said, pulling out her final evaluation form. Here's what I propose. Instead of invasion, have you considered an educational partnership? We get access to some of your technology for our STEM programs, and in exchange, Earth's teenagers don't turn your entire civilization into what they're calling the biggest social media prank ever. Exy looked around at what his invasion force had become. Study partners, musical theatre enthusiasts, and apparently now the subjects of multiple science fair projects. I suppose we could revise our approach to Earth relations. Excellent. Linda stamped the form with perhaps a bit too much enthusiasm. Welcome to the teaching staff. Faculty meetings are every other Wednesday, and fair warning, the coffee maker in the teacher's lounge hasn't worked since 1987. I have one question, Z said, antenna curling in confusion. How did you know your defensive strategies would work? Linda smiled. Commander, I've been teaching high school chemistry for 15 years. Do you really think this is the first time I've had to prevent teenagers from accidentally taking over the world? Outside, the school band had started practicing for their new show, Earth Goes Galactic. The chess club was teaching alien tactical officers about speed chess, while the math club had successfully proven that their homework actually could be eaten by their dog, assuming theoretical quantum physics and non-Euclidean geometry were involved. Oh, and Sci, Linda added, don't forget, you still need to make up that parent-teacher conference you interrupted. I'm thinking next Tuesday, right after I figure out what Danny did to the cafeteria's spatial dimensions. As she watched the former invasion commander hurry off to file his paperwork, Linda reached for her world's okayest mum mug, now slightly singed from the battle, but still functioning. Some days, you just had to appreciate the little victories, like saving the world and still making it home in time to grade papers. After all, parent-teacher conferences were never really about the grades anyway. Sometimes they were about reminding the universe that you should never, ever underestimate a public school teacher with tenure and a point to prove, especially during conference week.